out since June, and 63,000 are here to watch Minnesota take on the Bears, who call this place the Roller Dome. Images of history. Men like George Halas and Bud Grant. Men who built a tradition of greatness in the NFL. And they built those images from the ground up with defense. The most ferocious image of all, Dick Butkus. Mike Ditka was another tough guy as an all-pro tight end. He didn't give an inch then, and the link between the Bears' past and present doesn't now, and neither do his players. The Bears have tough guys on offense, too. Jim McMahon and Walter Payton personify the spirit of the Chicago Bears. The anchor of the Viking defense for 11 years has been Scott Studwell, and he gets lots of help. The Minnesota offense got tough last week, and Anthony Carter is their game breaker. It's another battle in an old war, the Bears and the Vikings. A tremendous rivalry, and two of the hottest teams in the game, both 7-1, not counting the strike. The Redskins, the Bears, and the 49ers are the divisional leaders, sailing along toward the playoffs, but the wild card picture is still rather strange. New Orleans having a great year in Minnesota, the only other NFC team over the 500 mark. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mike Patrick, and it's great to have you with us for the Bears and the Vikings on ESPN. Neither one of these teams has played very many big games this year, but tonight will go a long way toward determining who is the best football team in the NFC Central. As always, it's a pleasure to be working with Roy Firestone. And Roy, Mike Ditka says he would rather be outside where it's freezing than in here in the dome.
Mike, Ditka said last week the Metrodome doesn't befit football. It's more befitting of roller derby. So Mike Lynn, the Vikings general manager, had a great idea. He sent him roller skates last week. And here he is, Mike Ditka, rolling up and down the Lake Forest offices in Chicago. You know, Ditka's real Ukrainian name is Disco. Imagine the endorsement possibilities, folks. Mike Disco's Roller Palaces, maybe in your neighborhood. Well, there are no wheels on him tonight, but he hopes that the Bear defense has gets rolling once in a while. You know, the Bear defense gave up more yards in one game against the Denver Broncos than they did in 3 playoff games back in '85. They're playing less like Grizzlies and more like Gentle Ben, I think. So much so that Dennis McKinnon on offense said, hey, I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to take money out of my own pocket and fund the defense. He rewarded Al Harris $200 out of his own pocket last week for making a couple of big plays. I don't know how long the Bears' bounty will continue, but the schedule is very important for the Bears the rest of the way. They still have to play the 49ers, Seattle, and the Raiders. Big game here tonight, no question about it. Kind of like rollerball, and even James Caan would be proud.
Well, James Caan is not here tonight, but another fine actor is. A star of Hill Street Blues, Ed Marinaro was the runner-up for the Heisman Trophy in 1971, and until Tony Dorsett came along, the leading rusher of all time in college football. He played for the Vikings from 1972 to 75, when the team went to a pair of Super Bowls. It's a pleasure to welcome Ed Marinaro to ESPN.
Oh, it's nice to be here.
You know, we talked about Mike Ditka wanting to be outside in the cold. You had to play outside in the cold.
The man's crazy. I only wish they had the Metrodome when I was playing in the early 70s. Unless you've played in 35 below zero weather, you don't know how miserable it is. You can't feel your hands, you can't feel your feet. Your nose runs. It just takes away all the offense. You just don't want to handle the ball. What you have is a lot of slipping and sliding and fumbles. And I would hate to see a game as important as this be decided by turnovers like that.
You know, they could have sold 100,000 seats for this game. It's been sold out since June. And the Vikings really believe they're back among the elite in the NFL.
Well, when we talked to Mike Ditka last night, he really feels that the Bears and the Vikings are two of the best teams in the National Football League right now. Jerry Burns, who was an assistant for many years in Minnesota, he's at the head coach position now. He's doing a great job. I look forward to seeing Tommy KRAMER have a big game. They've been fooling around with the quarterback position now for the whole season long. I think he's ready, and I think that'll be a key to any Viking victory.
The weather conditions, of course, are perfect inside. A little nasty outside in Minneapolis, St. Paul. The Vikings have won the toss, and Brian Wagner, who is the punter, will handle the kickoff duties tonight. And NEAL averaging 23.6 yards. A kickoff return is the deep man. Third in the National Football Conference. He's got Rick Fenney and Alan Rice back with him at around the 10-yard line. Big ball game in the NFC Central. If the Bears win it, they will take their 4th straight NFC Central title. No one has done that in the 80s. Guggemos at the 2. Going to get it near the 20. And the Minnesota Vikings will start from there. Tommy KRAMER, the starting quarterback tonight, has had multiple injury problems this year, but still has the talent that made him the league's top-rated passer a year ago. KRAMER's biggest weapon is Anthony Carter, who had a huge game against Dallas. He leads the league with a 24.2-yard average at catch. And the Vikings have an emerging star on the offensive line. Left tackle Gary Zimmerman has all the tools and great technique to go with it. Anderson 46 and Nelson 20, the split backs behind KRAMER. Who throws on first down and has his tight end Jordan, and Jordan lost the football. The Vikings got it back. Dave DUERSON came up to make the play. And even without the injured greats Dan Hampton and Otis Wilson, the Bear defense is tough. Richard Dent gives them their best pass rush. The linebackers are really a treat to watch. Wilbur Marshall, a consensus All-Pro, simply awesome on the outside. Dave DUERSON now at free safety, another lock for the Pro Bowl. He and Todd Bell, probably the best combo at safety in the league. Second down, 6 yards to go, Minnesota. And they'll only get it up to about the 25. Darren Nelson on the carry and Richard Dent on the stop.
Ditka said at the beginning of the game, Mike, he didn't like playing in the Dome. I think what he was really saying, he didn't like playing Tommy KRAMER in the Dome. You know, KRAMER has won 5 of the 6 games played here in the Dome. He plays very well against the Bears here in the Dome, and that's the key guy, I think, right here, leadership-wise, Eddie.
Third and 4. They've got a full house backfield. Number 87 is Leo Lewis. And he'll go in motion. KRAMER looking right and goes to Leo Lewis across to the 32-yard line. It is a first down. And the tackle, Wilbur Marshall and Singletary. The linebackers on the stop. Cheerleaders on roller skates, and the scoreboard operator may need to do the same thing.
I think you're going to see the Vikes throw the football a lot tonight. I think that they're going to try to exploit the fact that there's no Otis Wilson. They're not going to get the same pass rush. No Dan Hampton in there either. KRAMER likes the way he's throwing the football, he told us. He's been watching the films. He's making some adjustments from injuries. He's a different passer, he says, than he was in weeks past.
Watch Darren Nelson.
Okay.
Little play fake to Fenney. Lewis knocked down and almost picked off by Ron Rivera, who is filling in for Otis Wilson at the outside linebacker. We almost had 6 in a hurry.
Yeah, that would have quieted the crowd quite a bit. He had nobody in front of him.
Here it is from the end zone right here. It's just a bad pass, it looked like. Swatted it down.
Got to keep those linebackers' hands down.
One thing about that Bear defense, Rivera is playing for Wilson. Al Harris is playing for Dan Hampton. They are still the number 4 defense in the NFL, even without those 2 stars. 2nd and 10, Minnesota. 4-man rush, and KRAMER with plenty of time. Anderson, he dropped it. Holy cow, Alfred Anderson out of the backfield, and Tommy KRAMER hit him on the numbers.
Boy, oh boy, we're talking 30, 40, maybe a touchdown. This is how open he was here, Eddie.
Well, he was just trying to run with the ball before he caught it.
Boy, he beat that coverage by a mile, too. Rivera on the outside.
Anderson with only 4 receptions this season coming into the ball game. They do not throw to the fullback that much. And now they've got Hassan Jones in with 3 wide receivers, now make it 4. On 3rd and 10 for KRAMER. KRAMER looks near side, looked like a mix-up in the pattern. Leo Lewis, the closest man to it, incomplete, and they'll have to punt it away. And the kicking game has been a concern for the Minnesota Vikings.
There goes my theory about dropping the ball because of cold weather.
Yeah, right.
Greg Coleman not doing well in the punting department.
A little sloppy early going for the Minnesota Vikings.
Well, this is a big game. They're going to be a little tight. See what the Bears do.
All right.
McKinnon, 4th in the NFL in punt returns. He's had 2 touchdowns this year on punt returns.
They're coming.
Coleman gets a good kick away this time. McKinnon from the 20. Great coverage. They got him at the 27-yard line.
That's
a 46-yard kick, a 6-yard return. The tackle by Joey Browner, who may be the best player in the National Football League on punt coverage.
This guy, what is it, Kwando? What is the karate he uses? He has a incredible strength in his hands, Joey Browner does. They've been utilizing both, obviously, in the secondary, but on special teams. He pulled Bo Jackson down with one hand from the ground a few weeks back. He may be the strongest secondary man in the pros.
And he's very aggressive.
Jim McMahon brings them out at quarterback. Walter Payton is set back. Anderson on the wing. McMahon floats one. A flag is down. Willie Gault was hit when the ball was in the air, and that will either be a hold or interference on Minnesota. And it will go against the Vikings. Jim Tunney, our referee tonight.
It looked like he was throwing that ball away anyway. I don't think he had anybody really open.
John Harris.
Illegal contact, number 30, 5 yards, first down.
Was on the coverage along with Isaac Holt, and Holt will get the penalty. Jim McMahon starting at quarterback. He's made an excellent recovery from shoulder surgery. He's an exceptional leader. He's completed 60% of his passes this season. Four-man rush. There it is. Hit him from behind. Loose football. Vikings have it. Stafford Mays made the recovery.
That's enough to get this crowd going, and that's just what the Bears didn't want to have happen.
Right. Now, that's one thing I wanted to mention about at the top. The Vikings defense may be better than the Bears defense. They have more sacks, more interceptions, more fumbles recovered in the last 6 games. They're coming up with the big plays, and this was a very big play.
Well, Mays made the hit, and then he recovered the fumble.
Mays playing in place of the injured Keith Millard, who was also involved in an altercation the other night in a local tavern. Big break for the Vikings. 1st and 10 from the 19 of the Bears. Anderson. Picked up 3, close to 4 yards, down to the 16.
Look at the disparity between the Bears and the Vikings in terms of defensive statistics. Look at 24, 9 more sacks, 4 more interceptions, 4 more fumble recoveries. The total forced errors really impact the game. The Vikings have played tremendous football defensively in recent weeks, and the Bears have been disappointing.
Rick Fenney checks into the Minnesota backfield on 2nd and 7. Bears show blitz. Here they come. Fenney on the delay. Got to the 14-yard line. And if it hadn't have been for Dave DUERSON, who grabbed an ankle, Fenney would have had a lot more.
They like this Fenney running back. They say really comparatively like a Bill Brown, maybe a Dave Osborne. You see that in him?
Well,
Fenney?
he's big as a house.
He's bigger than those other guys, right? He's about 230, 225.
Got to keep his head up, though.
Keep the head up?
Yeah, he didn't have his head up then.
3rd and 4. The Vikings will go with 4 wideouts. Fenney, the lone setback. Blitz and KRAMER to Gustafson. First down and driven out of bounds at the 6-yard line. But Tommy KRAMER read the blitz. Reggie Phillips drove him out of bounds.
This is just a great throw. A great throw on the move, right there.
Maybe he should have stayed on his feet, though. Could have got some more yardage.
When you catch the ball, you don't know who's there. You just put your shoulder down and just go toward the goal line.
First catch of the season for Jim Gustafson. First and goal, Minnesota at the Bears 6. And the Vikings right side of the line. Greg Cook and Tim Irwin jumped off sides.
Five yards, still first down.
You'll see Cook and Irwin on the right side of the screen, and both got a head start.
You think the noise could be a factor? It wasn't there, but it would be a factor tonight in calls and signals and offsides and things like that?
Well, certainly not for the Vikings, but for the Bears, definitely. I remember playing on Monday night. When you played a Monday night game, there was always a lot more noise, even in the outdoor stadiums. But people got to the stadium a little bit early and preparing for the game, if you know what I mean. And they were a little bit rowdy. You had to go by the movement of the ball, and that negates any offensive advantage.
First and goal from the 11. Another blitz. They throw for the end zone. Contact, no flag. Anthony Carter, the intended receiver, and back there with him was Mike Richardson. And Todd Bell also coming over from the safety spot in the end zone, but no flag down on the play.
I know one thing, Mike. The Bears are scared to death of Anthony Carter. That's all they've been talking about the last week. They think this guy is the biggest game breaker right now in the league, and they're right. He's averaging more yardage per catch than anybody else in the NFC.
Well, he'd been in a slump until last week when they played Dallas, and he exploded 184 yards and 2 touchdowns. KRAMER only 1 out of his last 5 after completing his first 2 passes. Another blitz. Here they come. And Richardson goes up with Carter. Contact, but again, no flag. And Carter pleads his case.
What do you think, Eddie? I don't really think there was much contact on. I think it was more acting than anything else for AC.
Well, it's just people going for the ball, and they're allowed to do that.
Watch it underneath.
Right here, you just see him going for the ball. That's not illegal contact.
Yeah, you're right.
He took his eye off the ball.
I mean, after all, this is football, isn't it?
I thought it was roller derby.
Hassan Jones comes in on 3rd and goal from the 11. 3 wide receivers from Minnesota. Nelson on the delay. And Dent nailed him as he got to the 10-yard line. And as usual, we've got some pushing and shoving after the play. Look at the helmet on Dent. Scratch that on a running back.
Richard Dent was termed by Ditka Robert Dent. He tried to malign him a little bit to get him fired up by Ditka. Dent is much maligned, at times for good reason. A man of his talent should be great consistently. And he hasn't been this year. Not certainly like he's been in years past. Vikes with a field goal attempt coming up.
For Chuck Nelson, this should be exciting. He's missed 5 of his last 7. He's been in a terrible slump. And Jerry Burns certainly hopes he comes out of it tonight. It will be a 27-yard attempt.
If he misses this one, the crowd's going to be down on him.
It's strange, too, because Nelson was the most accurate kicker in NCAA history at Washington. Hooked it. He's missed 6 of his last 8, and that was a chip shot.
Look at Jerry. Look at Burnsy.
He doesn't like that. I know that.
Look at this. Perfect snap, perfect hold. He shanked it. Here's Ditka's reaction. Got a break.
10:06 to go first quarter. We are still scoreless.
They're a little uplifted right now. They dodged the bullet.
Take over from their own 20-yard line. Peyton in motion. Anderson with his first carry. And Anderson, who has become the bellwether of the ground game, will lose at least a yard. Walter Payton is still the starter for this Bear team, but Neal Anderson is the rising star in the Bears' backfield. The offensive line a real concern because they're banged up. Pro Bowler Jay Hilgenberg playing with a harness because of a shoulder injury. Paul Blair in for the injured Jim Covert.
And watch the mismatch. Left tackle Paul Blair and Chris Dolman on that same side. Blair said, matter of fact, this week, I hate playing this side. They got me in the wrong position. He may be intimidated already.
Well, Dolman can do it to you. 2nd and 11. Galt was in motion, and McMahon looking that way. Now he runs. Got a good block from Moorhead. And Isaac Holt almost took him apart as he went down. That Viking defense has played well for the most part. Chris Dolman has been on fire since the strike. 10 sacks and 5 forced fumbles. Stafford Mays is in for the injured Keith Millard. The middle linebacker, Scott Studwell, still one of the best against the run. He's the all-time Viking leader in tackles. But the leading tackler this year is strong safety Joey Browner. He was in on 18 against Dallas.
Wow.
3rd and 5, Chicago. McMahon goes to the shotgun. Throws for Gentry. He has it at the 34-yard line. 1st down, Bears. Joey Browner on the stop.
We got a chance to isolate a little bit here. Chris Dolman and Paul Blair. Now, Dolman, no doubt about it, has to be the MVP and the league leader in overstatement and ego. Trying to stop me, he says, is trying to hold on to a Tasmanian devil, trying to hold on to Tornado. That time, Paul Blair did a pretty good job in holding on to the Tornado, I think. We're going to watch this. Yeah, we're going to watch this combination throughout the game. Going to be a good one. Blair and Dolman.
Anderson, little inside play, got maybe a yard as they were waiting on him. Dolman on the tackle this time from his right defensive end spot.
Looks like Dolman takes the inside route here, utilizes his quickness extremely well.
You have to remember, he was a linebacker. He's drafted as a linebacker. Now he's playing a down lineman. He really gives him an advantage as far as speed goes.
Yeah, but you'd think that he's a little mismatched in terms of size on the defensive line.
262 pounds. I don't know if it's a mismatch.
Big enough, I guess, huh?
That's big enough.
2nd and 9, they gave Anderson a gain of a yard. Morris, the man in motion. Delay to Payton. Sweetness. Left by Dolman again and got some help from the middle of that line. Now, Payton, of course, the major story this year, but 2 things about Walter Payton. His carries are down, and Neil Anderson not nearly as good a blocker for him.
Well, you know, it's hard to, people always are comparing Payton with Anderson right now, and that's really unfair. I wouldn't want to be Anderson being compared to the greatest all-time runner in the NFL. I think what's happened is that Walter doesn't fit in the offense anymore, the way he did 5 years ago when he used to handle the ball 20, 30 times a game. That's not what the Bear offense is all about now.
That's right. 3rd and long, McMahon to the shotgun. Anderson.
Got a lot of people out there in front.
He's got the 1st down. Gugamos had to make the tackle as he got to the 50-yard line. 1st down, Chicago, after Anderson went 15 yards.
All right, as we take a look at Neil Anderson running very, very well, I got to ask you, do you feel Walter Payton is hurting this team offensively by playing? Why don't they have Anderson into the action more?
Well, it's just hard to think that Walter Payton could hurt any offense, even at this stage in his career. I think you're going to see the old Walter Payton flashes of that in this ballgame. He's going to definitely help the team today.
Mike Ditka does nothing but praise him for his blocking abilities as a lead blocker for Anderson.
I'm a big Walter Payton fan.
I think everybody is. McKinnon with the catch inside the 40. They'll mark it at the 38-yard line. That's going to be a 1st down. Carl Lee makes the catch.
My question is, what does McKinnon get in terms of money? And he's given out money to the defense. If he makes a couple of great plays, does he get some cash out of it?
Don't expect the defensive coordinator to give him anything.
Hey, he broke 2 touchdowns on punt returns this year. That's the first time a Bear has ever done that in all that history of the Bears.
It's a tax write-off.
That's what the NFL's become, isn't it? 1st and 10, Ron Morris comes in as one of 3 wide receivers now that the tight end Moorhead splits out. Anderson. Got some room on the right side. Studwell with a fine tackle, got him at the 35.
So this is what the Bears wanted to do. Get a sustained drive here, and it's taking the crowd out of the game. Now they can call. They can go go into the shotgun. I think they were afraid to use the shotgun because of the crowd noise, but now they can use all all their offensive weapons.
There you see Studwell. He doesn't run as well as he used to, but he's still great against the run. He's as effective against the run as he's ever been.
2nd and 7. Studwell's been doing it in the middle of that 4-3 for a long, long time.
He's got a great name, too.
Studwell?
Studwell. Middle linebacker.
5-man rush. They dump it off to Payton. Stiff arm and has the first down. He just ran over John Harris.
That wasn't too bad there. Didn't look like an aging veteran here, Eddie.
You know, Walter has always been real dangerous out of the backfield. Takes the ball. That's a great catch. Straight arm. He's so strong. Upper body. Look at how he keeps him off with his arms.
Very effective.
Harris slapping at him. 3 out of 3 for Jim McMahon, 31 yards. And there you see the numbers on Walter Payton for the season. Another first down, Chicago. McMahon floats this one. Touchdown, Chicago. Anderson. There is a flag down.
Big break. Hey, what goes around comes around. Let's see Mike Ditka's face.
There it is. Here's the call.
Illegal motion, number 83, 5 yards.
Willie
still
Gault.
first down.
That pulverizes you.
That's going to give the Vikings a little lift now.
You know, Mike Ditka has that tough guy image, but I'll tell you one thing. I think if Walter Payton were with some other teams, he might not be playing this year. And Ditka loves Payton, and he's going to keep him on the field.
I don't think he has the heart to sit him down.
And I give him a lot of credit for that. Walter Payton has given an awful lot to the Bears in the football. On the draw.
Let me tell you something. Walter Payton would not be in there if Mike Ditka didn't think he could do the job. This is not a game of, he's not doing Walter any favors. Walter Payton is still very effective, or he wouldn't be in there.
Somebody told me, though, that he sees things now, and he just can't get there. How frustrating is that for an older back?
That's a hard one. I mean, when I was a young back, I'd see things that couldn't get there.
Right.
But I mean, that was a great run there. He saw the outside. He made a great cut. I think Walter Payton's been listening to too many people telling him how old he is.
This is the 11th play of the drive. McMahon, the catch at the 12-yard line. McKinnon. The Vikings want them to overrule it. Now, don't misunderstand what I said. I don't think that Payton is done. I'm just saying in another franchise, they might say, that's fine, we'll keep you on the roster, but we'll look ahead to the future and play somebody else younger, and I don't think Ditka wants to do that.
Well, I think you might see that happen on a team that's not a contending team.
Yeah.
But when you're a contending team, you want the best people in there, even if it's one game at a time.
1st and 10 after the McKinnon catch. They mark it at the 13. In the eye. Payton behind Anderson. Walter Payton to the 8-yard line. Tackle made that time by left end Doug Martin, who had him around the ankles.
Do you think Walter, though, Eddie, is sorry he's playing this year? You think he thinks he should have retired last year?
Well, when you announce a retirement before your last season, it has to affect you emotionally throughout the whole season. I mean, he's sort of preparing himself mentally to retire, and that does strange things to your head. Everything he does is for the last time.
2nd and 4. Anderson. He took a shot from Chris Dolman, who must have been missed totally on that block.
Big hit here. 56. Watch it. Coming right through the middle.
Ooh.
Oh.
Hello.
He is playing so well since the strike. He looked at a lot of films and decided, I'm not going to be Reggie White. I'm not going to be Too Tall Jones. I'm going to be Chris Dolman. Play it my style. He has been.
Well, Chris Dolman's fine.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be anybody else. 3rd and 4. McMahon over the middle. It's caught, but short of a first down at the 5-yard line. Ron Morris made the catch, and Scott Studwell flattened him. 4th and about 2 yards.
You're going to go for it.
And here comes the field goal unit.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I thought Ditka was signaling to go for it. Trying to confuse me up here. Dolman reminds me a lot of Matt Blair. Do you remember Matt Blair play for the Vikings?
I think he was 59.
Yeah, I mean, he was tall. He was a linebacker. Dolman's much bigger, but he looks a lot like him.
As opposed to the Vikings kicking trouble, Kevin Butler has no trouble at all. He's had a great season, made 11 in a row, including 2 52-yarders. And we have a stoppage in action.
Can you believe that Butler, and this is not to denigrate Kevin Butler, folks, but Butler has his own radio show in Chicago? I mean, they got to be 10 guys with their own radio and TV show in Chicago. They dominate the airwaves. It's unbelievable. I think Tom Thayer, an offensive lineman, has his own radio show. They must, I know Ditka has a radio and TV show. Now, how much can you say about a team, folks?
Depends on the station, I guess. It's what format you say it, right? They've already eaten up on this drive nearly 10 minutes off the clock. It's been 14 plays. And Butler from 27 yards is true. And the Chicago Bears draw first blood with 28 seconds to go in the quarter. It's 3-0. The Bears on a 23-yard field goal by Kevin Butler, who has now made 12 straight, have a 3-0 lead on the Vikings. Chicago with a 2-game lead in the division, but remember, with the regulars, they are both 7-1 this year.
Between them, the Bears and Vikings have only beaten one team with the winning record this year.
Yeah, but there's only 5 teams in the whole conference with a winning record.
That's true.
Gilgamos at the goal line. Right behind the wedge. Gets out across the 20 to about the 21-yard line. And Tommy Kramer and the Vikings will start from there when we come back. 19 seconds to go in the quarter. 3-0 Chicago. A lot of McMahon imitators. There's one. Sort of trussed up.
I saw a 9-year-old McMahon impersonator in the lobby of the hotel today.
Is that right?
It was a little much.
Had the shades.
There's the real guy right down there. Made $5 million in endorsements last year alone. $5 million.
Makes me sick.
You're doing all right.
That's true.
Yeah, but what you guys are paying me.
It's only 19 seconds to go in the first quarter because the Bears had a drive that took 9.5 minutes. And now the officials just coming back from the sideline after talking to the coaching staff of the Bears. And the Vikings will go into their huddle. Darren Nelson may start to get some carries. He is the best in the NFC, averages almost 6 yards a shot on the ground. And they've got one here. And he runs into the refrigerator.
That's a lot to run into, too.
It's 315 pounds of William Perry out of Clemson.
Or so they say, 315.
On a good day.
Right. Looks like a lot more than 315. Right?
That's the end of the first period here at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. It's 3-0 Chicago. Back in a moment. Ball starting the second quarter, down 3-0. Kramer to Nelson on a little Statue of Liberty play, and Nelson out across the 27 to the 28. Wilbur Marshall rode him down there.
Good pursuit here from Wilbur Buddy Hia. That's his middle name. Buddy Hia Marshall. He's all over the field tonight.
Well, Darren Nelson is so quick, and the fact that he's not real tall, I think, works to his advantage. A tall running back, he loses a lot of leverage when he has to drop that shoulder. At least that's the excuse I used.
Nelson, 4 carries, 10 yards so far. Having a fine year, 470 yards rushing. Says last year will be his, or next year will be his last at the age of 29.
I don't buy that.
Nelson, maybe that's why. Nailed. But they got very close to the first down. Singletary drilled him.
Yeah, they got the first down.
He is such a versatile back, Darren Nelson. You know, he got hurt earlier this year on a day off carrying a turntable for his wife. He injured his back, and Jerry Burns said, that's it. No more days off, folks. That's it.
No more turntables either. That's a good lesson for all of us, guys. Don't carry anything.
Don't carry anything.
Fake to Nelson this time. Kramer deep over the middle. Lewis wide open. Todd Bell has him at the 35. Leo Lewis with a 29-yard catch from Kramer.
I don't know. These little guys, they're all over the field. Leo Lewis, Anthony Carter. How big could this guy be? 5'8"?
Whoa. Tried to take his head off there.
Tough. And he's talking to him, too. I can't say his name without saying Little. Little Leo Lewis. Just the alliteration appeals to me. Little Leo Lewis.
Had a great year in '84, tailed off since then, but is having a fine season this year. Nelson behind Fenney. And the Bears did a good job plugging that one up. Al Harris, number 90, was in on this stop, along with Steve McMichael.
You see these guys getting so banged up, and you hear Darren Nelson talk about retiring at 29. You retired at 28. A lot of it was their doing, but you did get out of it because you had some banged and bruises and hurts, right?
Well, I think most people, they don't leave the game under their own terms. And a lot of the guys today just want to be the one to call the shots. They don't want to be cut. They don't want to be outright released. So I think Darren Nelson might be just preparing himself.
2nd and 9, another blitz. Kramer reads it, gets it out to Carter. 1 foot down, not both.
He knew it.
Tommy Kramer took a big, big hit.
And every time Kramer goes down, you wonder, Roy, if he's going to get up again.
Let me tell you something. Tommy Kramer, in the last 5 years, well, let's watch the play here. You see, doesn't have them both in. But you see Tommy Kramer taking a big hit here. He has missed half of his games in the last 5 years. Wilbur Marshall with the big knock there. He's just not, a durable football player. He's a good football player, just isn't in there very much.
4 wideouts on 3rd and 9. Another blitz. Bombs away. Intercepted by DUERSON. Intended for Carter, but DUERSON picked it off in the end zone.
He threw into double coverage there.
And the 3rd interception for Tommy Kramer this year.
This may have been a bit of a gamble, Eddie. He had 2 guys on the other outside. DUERSON making a great play. He's, of course, moved from to strong safety from free safety, making the play here. It's a great interception. DUERSON stopping the Vikings right there, and they'll set up shop at the 20. He's an example of a guy who's responded to the drug and alcohol crisis. After 4 of his boyhood friends died of drug-related causes, Dave DUERSON established an organization called DAMCO, which counsels thousands of kids on drug abuse. The program is really working.
And having the name and the reputation of a pro football player can really do a lot of good things. Trying to get outside. Vikings did a great job. Isaac Holt on the corner wouldn't let him go, and Jesse Solomon ran him down from behind.
Mike Ditka told us last night, Ed, that the biggest change on the Vikings, offensively and defensively, is team speed, particularly on the outside. You see that tonight?
Yeah, you see that not only on the outside people offensively, but in the defensive backs. They come up real hard, real fast, and they can stop any of the runs, any wide runs.
Second down and 8. Bears up 3-0, 2nd quarter. Vikings may have jumped. Payton on the delay, almost had his head taken off.
Dolman.
And brought down by Chris Dolman.
He is so rangy. He just stuck out that arm.
Let's wait for the call here.
Doug Martin appeared to have jumped offside. See if he did jump or was drawn.
Somebody moved on the Bear line on the outside, too. I think maybe the officials saw that.
Encroachment. Defense.
Well, there I go again.
0 for 2, but it's early.
Hey, I'm trying.
That's right.
Let's watch the right-hand side of the screen. You'll see the move right there.
What?
you go, Doug Martin.
5 yards, still second down.
So instead of a loss of 2, they'll pick up 5 and make it 2nd and 3. Mike Patrick, Roy Firestone, and Ed Marinaro with you from the Metrodome in Minneapolis, St. Paul. The dome actually located in downtown Minneapolis. Cap Boso is in as a tight end for the Bears. Sanders. 33-yard line. First down for Thomas Sanders, the third-year man out of Texas A&M.
I love the way this guy runs. I think they got to get more action for Thomas Sanders. You know, he broke his neck in college. Charlie Taylor also had a broken neck in college, but this guy recovered. Obviously, it wasn't a serious broken neck, or he wouldn't be out there. But there's always in the back of his mind that injury to contend with.
And a couple of other running backs who can play on that team. Calvin Thomas, Matt Suey, who has not had a carry all year long as a running back.
Boy, they have so much depth running back, the Bears.
But the offensive line is where they've had their problems. A lot of injuries, guys playing hurt. Paul Blair is in there for Jim Covert at the left tackle. He's going against Dolman. McMahon deep sideline, well overthrown. Browner, the closest man to it, intended for McKinnon, and McMahon took a shot.
Yeah, he took a big hit.
Come on, Jimbo. Walk it off. I'd hate to see him leave the game.
And can I tell you something? He's also playing tonight with a very I mean, it sounds like a wimpy thing, but he's got a very upset stomach. No, seriously, he's got the stomach flu, and he was sick as a dog last night.
Are you going to try to get him another commercial?
Here it is. Let's see the hit. Ooh, no, that's something serious. Looked like Martin may have gotten in on it.
He didn't have an upset stomach before. He's got one.
Wow. Big hit.
2nd and 10, the first incompletion of the night for McMahon. Anderson cut it back across the 40 to the 41-yard line. Neil Gugamos made the stop. I just love the name Gugamos. You know, Gugamos sounds like the first words of your baby. You know, Gugamos.
What kind of name is that?
I don't Gugamos. I don't know.
I know it's Gugamos. What kind of name
Italian?
is it?
It's got Italiano?
Greek?
Could be. We got to find that one. I'll get our crack staff on that. Gugamos.
You know, the Ivy League is represented by both teams in this game.
Fensick and who else?
Fensick and Steve Jordan went to Brown.
Right.
3rd and a yard for Chicago. Payton. Depending on the mark, they had to get past the 43, and the official marks it closer to the 44-yard line. Walter can still get the tough yards inside, and he is a terrific blocker when Anderson carries the ball.
One other thing about Walter, before we get the violins here for Walter, don't feel too badly for the guy. In annuities, for the rest of his life starting next year, $250,000 guaranteed a year for the rest of his life. Not a bad deal. Not that he needs the money, but just something to think about.
There's another guy who would like to become the first minority owner in the National Football League.
Yeah, we talked about it in the preseason, the Oakland franchise, the possibility of ownership, at least part ownership on the part of Walter Payton.
And it is a first down.
When I turn 65, I get $650 a month in the NFL pension.
Whether you need it or not.
It depends on your lifestyle,
That's
though.
right.
I don't need
right.
that much.
That's right. What do you really need, Eddie?
Don't ask me that.
I know what you really need, but I mean, besides that.
Nose of the ball at the Chicago 44, 1st and 10. The Bears lead by 3, and they've done a great job of running the clock down here in the first half and keeping the ball away from Tommy Kramer. Payton inside hand.
A lot of people in front of him.
Midfield, there's that move we have seen for so many years where he just seems to hesitate in midair. John Harris made the stop, a 14-yard gain for Walter Payton.
The Vikings are hoping he'll retire at halftime.
He hasn't had a 100-yard game in 2 seasons, but he might be off to a good start tonight.
Let me tell you, this is exactly what Walter needs to get his confidence back. If you can believe it, a guy who's been that great a runner for so many years, I think he's lacking confidence.
28 yards so far, but running well in 5 carries.
Thomas Sanders checks into the Bear backfield. 1st and 10, Chicago. The Bears have worked on going with a silent count if the crowd is very loud, but right now they don't need it. McMahon had it stuffed back in his face. Henry Thomas, the rookie out of LSU, got the hands up.
Henry Thomas is the guy who beat out Tim Newton at the nose tackle. He makes up for what some say might be his lack of ability with great desire, quick and nasty. I mean, as nasty as a rainy night in Detroit somewhere, huh? I mean, this guy looks to penetrate it all the time, working inside with Doman. Big addition defensively.
He was a terrific pass rusher at LSU as a nose man.
David Howard says he's the best first-year defensive player I've ever been around, his teammate.
2nd and 10 from the Minnesota 43. Fake to Sanders. McMahon pressure.
No good.
Galt out of bounds. Good coverage by Isaac Holt, who was there to make sure he would be out of bounds. And McMahon limping again.
Yeah, he looked pretty like he recovered from his knee problems on that play. Rolling right.
You're going to see him rolling a lot tonight, I think. Try to compensate for the great pass rush of the Vikings. Here he is. This one not designed rollout, I don't think, though.
Well,
running for his life here.
I think the timing was off a little bit because he had men out there in front of him. I think it was a naked roll. Naked roll.
Naked roll?
Yeah, I just made that up, I think.
Vikings were coming on a safety blitz. They had Joey Browner in the Chicago backfield. Bombs away. Oh! Touchdown, Willie Galt.
That was just a great throw.
Beautiful.
He got some great pass blocking at the time, stood in there and unloaded.
This is the fastest receiver in the game, or one of, certainly. We're talking about the tick of a clock. But this guy, as fast certainly as Ron Brown, the sprinter. Willie Galt just beats his man with speed. There you see Jim McMahon. Once upon a time, Jim McMahon said, I don't know how tough Willie is. I know how talented he is. McMahon was there to congratulate him.
That baby was right on the money, and Kevin Butler is on to try the point after. He's got it. And the Chicago Bears with a 9-2 record and a 2-game lead in the division of taking a 10-0 lead over Minnesota. ESPN's presentation of the National Football League is brought to you by Budweiser, Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By your Ford and Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Yashica. They put a new focus on photography with the new 230 AF autofocus. And by Travelers, one of America's strongest, most experienced financial experts. 7 minutes, 40 seconds to go. First half of play from the Metrodome, and Jim McMahon hits the long touchdown pass to Willie Galt to give the Bears a 10-0 lead. Bears kicking off. Guggemo standing at the goal line. I think this is the 5.
Go, Guggemo.
Get back to the 20-yard line. Will Johnson, a reserve linebacker, down on special teams. 80-yard drive that ate up 4 minutes and 13 seconds. The drive for the field goal ate up 9:38, and Galt got the last 42 from Jim McMahon.
He may be a Pro Bowl receiver this year. This could be Galt's year. Certainly playing like it.
Jerry Burns, he came in to a situation where he had been overlooked. Chance to be the head coach, finally got the job, and he's made believers in the Vikings, and they like him and would like to win for him. KRAMER floats it down the sideline. Nelson with a great try, but can't hold on. Wilbur Marshall was with him, stride for stride, and Mike Richardson trying to come over from the corner to help out.
Eddie, did you hear the line Darren Nelson said about Jerry Burns today? He said Jerry Burns looks like Big Jim on Taxi, and he acts like. What would you played for Jerry Burns?
Yeah, Jerry was a little more outspoken when he was an assistant coach. All I remember about Jerry Burns, he was always yelling about something, always yelling at me, and he could never remember anybody's name. He called me about 6 different things. I didn't know who he was talking about.
2nd and 10 Vikings. Bears have done a great job shutting him down so far. Perry has the sack.
Yeah.
Hey, that's illegal.
I don't think the karate chop landed.
When you look at the fridge, what do you think about? What do you look at the guy's size?
I look at a guy who doesn't say no very often.
How would you block this guy? Just hope.
I don't know. I remember once against Dallas, I had to block Too Tall Jones all day long. And he ate my lunch.
He's done it to a lot of guys there. 3rd and 15. KRAMER to the shotgun with 4 wideouts. 4-man rush. McMichael in pursuit. KRAMER will have to go out of bounds.
Good
The
coverage.
crowd doesn't like it.
Good coverage in the secondary. That's why he didn't put the ball up. There was nobody open.
That was a smart play.
Sometimes you just got to sit on it.
You don't want an interception down here.
They have done nothing offensively.
Well, they'll come out of it.
Greg Coleman, who got off a fine punt first time out. I saw him in the hall out at the Vikings facility the other day. Asked him if he was going to average 48. He said, no, 58 tonight. He wants to get out of that slump. First was 47, the dangerous Dennis McKinnon, standing back at the 41.
You don't like to line up in your own end zone as a punter.
I don't like that side at all.
Low kick this time.
It's going to roll.
But he'll get the bounce. And McKinnon did a great job of picking it up and preventing another 15 yards of roll, and got 5 yards out of the return after a 48-yard punt from Greg Coleman. 6:39 to go in the half. 10-0 Bears.
Environmentally sound. It brings back memories at Marinaro of the way it used to be at the beautiful Mets. I can't believe you guys played in this.
Doesn't that look like fun? Look at Osborne.
Short
sleeve
I
shirts.
can't believe it. And that's got to be 30 degrees.
Hey,
Below
those
zero.
were the days. Bud Grant used to tell us about the Eskimos and the Alaska pipeline and how they were never cold because they were ready mentally to be cold. As hard as I tried to imagine I was in Hawaii playing golf, I was still cold.
Bears start from their own 43. McMahon, who threw a touchdown pass last time out, goes for his tight end. Moorhead over the middle. Browner and Studwell were there.
You know, another interesting thing about the Metrodome, not the Metrodome, but Metropolitan Stadium,
right,
was that Bud Grant never allowed us to have heaters on the sidelines.
Oh.
And we used to stand on the sidelines right next to the opposition, and they always had these big old heaters. You could see the heat coming off them, and we were like orphans on the other end of the bench. I wanted to go AWOL a couple of times.
Go to the other team, right?
They were laughing at us.
What a man, Bud Grant. Huh?
Yeah, and that made me more of a man.
Yeah.
He uses Old Spice.
2 tight ends in, Moorhead and Boso as they go with Payton on the toss. A flag is down. So is Payton in the grasp of Chris Dolman and Isaac Holt. They got him 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
Well, Dolman hasn't disappointed us tonight.
No. Wonderful.
But this one is against the Bears.
It's funny, we were talking to Dolman 2 days ago. He said to us with this kind of wide-eyed innocence, gee, fellas, do you think I'll make the Pro Bowl this year? It was so refreshing. You know, he wasn't jaded at all. I know one thing. He told me Paul Zimmerman, and Paul, if you're watching tonight, you got to remember this. Wait for the call here.
Offense, still penalty has declined. It'll be 3rd down.
Paul Zimmerman belittled him on draft day on ESPN. He said he was watching the draft, and Zimmerman said, the Vikings made a terrible mistake by drafting Dolman. They should have never done it. He says from that day on, he made up his mind he was going to be a football player to show Paul Zimmerman.
Well, he's already seen the depths. At linebacker, he was a bust.
Right.
Seemingly didn't have the instincts for it, but he has found a home at defensive end.
That's right.
6:20 to go first half, 3rd and 12. McMahon directing traffic, trying to run for the first down, but stepped out of bounds about 4 yards shy, just across midfield.
Every time I take a look at McMahon, I'm just amazed because Dr. Job's operation on McMahon, which was essentially a reconstruction of his shoulder, had been performed only 10 times before. This was not a sure thing at all. It is, in fact, a miracle of sorts, a medical miracle, that he's playing this quickly this year and playing well.
Like Tommy John.
Yeah, except they didn't have the tendons transplanted, but it was a very, very serious operation.
Leo Lewis standing at the 10-yard line waiting for Brian Wagner's punt. He's been up and down, averaging 41 yards a kick out of Cal State Northridge. Flag is down. Sails of beauty and just hit into the end zone.
There's a flag on the play.
49-yard punt that just reached the end zone. And now they'll talk this over, and it's a motion penalty against Chicago. Vikings may just settle for taking it at the 20.
Just to pick it up on this McMahon issue is he is, of course, front page news in Chicago, Jim McMahon. So much so that in the midst of the operation, listen to this, the newspapers
on the kicking team, holding on the receiving team will replay. Fourth down.
No decision.
That's right. Two of the newspapers actually sent their science editors to cover Jim McMahon's operation. That's how important this man is in Chicago. And they did a good job, I might add. It was actually an interesting report. It just shows you how important this guy is to Chicago sports. I think he is now the #1 sports figure in Chicago. He is, I think, supplanted Peyton. Anything he says.
How about the country?
Maybe the whole country.
Wagner to punt again. This time he goes for the sideline. And this will be beyond the 20-yard line. So the Vikings got a break when the penalty. We got a high five from Calvin Thomas. He gave the official a high five as he came up the sideline.
They're having fun out there.
I love it.
Only a 24-yard punt. The Vikings with pretty decent field position when we come back.
That's the reserve back for the Chicago Bears. We got to show you what he did. This is the referee giving a signal to the other ref, and Cal decided, hey, I'm going to give him a high five anyway.
Well, he's a friendly sort of guy.
That was great.
Got to have a sense of humor. Anderson on the toss. Bears did a great job of stringing it out. It will only get about 3 yards out of it. Wilbur Marshall in on the stop along with Ron Rivera. And there are the roller skates. This is, of course, in reference to Mike Ditka calling a dome the only decent place for a roller derby and not football.
We need more shots like that. That's what it's all about. Minnesota women are very
What are they?
They're wholesome.
Yeah, that's okay, Ed. I'm supposed to watch you tonight on what you say about Minnesota women. Okay.
2nd and 7. Rich
Don't be getting me in
31
trouble.
is in there. Kramer to Nelson. And Perry smelled it out and threw him down.
Ah, that's taunting.
You go tell him.
He is having maybe his best game of the year tonight. Fridge is all over the field, Ed. You can't help but be all over the field.
I didn't want to say anything.
This guy could cover Canada, folks.
Look at this very nicely. He puts him down. Hello.
Pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
This will make it 3rd and 15.
That graphic's wrong. He's 315
Took off too, huh?
on game day.
Kramer on 3rd and long. 4-man rush. Over the middle for Lewis. Complete. Marshall was there in case it had been, along with Reggie Phillips.
Tommy Kramer is having his problems tonight, Ed. He's not throwing the ball with a great deal of authority. He's been missing receivers. He's been missing connections. This is a long night for him so far.
Well, the game, they had some breaks early on. It didn't take advantage of. I think the team, the Vikings as a whole, are a little bit down right now.
Flat.
They're a little bit flat. They need a break. I mean, it's still very early. You saw what happened Denver and Chicago. When Chicago came out, it was going to be a blowout.
Home with the punt to McKinnon. Another low kick.
That bounce is going to be Good Viking bounce.
The flag is down. McKinnon has taken 2 back for touchdowns, but not this one.
And tackled by his own teammate.
7-yard return after a 46-yard kick. About half of it rolled from Greg Coleman. We'll check out the penalty.
It's like a motion penalty against Minnesota.
Jim Tunney talking to Sean Gale.
Illegal motion, offense tackle is declined. First down.
Well, the Bears are satisfied with their field position. They have it at their own 41, already leading 10-0 with 4:09 to go here in the first half of play.
The Vikings need a turnover right now.
They need a drive, Ed. They haven't had that either.
Well, they haven't had the best field position.
First and 10 for the Bears at their 42.
Bears at the 41.
Notice how the crowd is out of the game right now.
Yeah. Big difference.
And usually this place is deafening. Sanders. Nice cutback. Studwell got him at the 48-yard line. At that time, Studwell made the tackle 7 yards downfield.
What do you think? Maybe time to bring in Wade Wilson?
No,
Quick hook?
I think Burns is going to stay with KRAMER. No way.
Etch it in granite, right?
Absolutely.
Not going to happen tonight, right?
I've been right enough times tonight.
Okay.
Getting better at this.
2nd and 3. Bears at their own 49. And to the Viking 45 goes Neal Anderson. Joey Browner made the tackle. Very good offensive selection of plays for the Bears tonight. They really mixed it up.
Neal Anderson moving the legs nicely here, Eddie.
He's a strong runner. Just keeps on going forward, keeps spinning. And you see Paul Blair in there hasn't hurt them too much.
The tackle's playing well tonight.
Tackle's playing well.
He's playing in place of one of the best, Jimbo Covert.
It's his first start, I think.
Dolman hasn't hurt them, though. I mean, he's made some plays, but hasn't really hurt the Bears too much in the sack department.
Hasn't forced a fumble yet. That's
Right.
what he's done so often
right.
lately. But he still had a pretty good game. And McMahon will use a timeout here with 2:49 to go.
I think maybe the most heart-rendering story on the Bears is the story of Jimbo Covert, who's not here tonight. Paul Blair playing in place of him. Jimbo's daughter, Jessica, was born with spinal bifida, which is a spinal column disorder that affects 2 out of every 1,000 children. The child was in intensive care for 23 days this summer. The Bears players and coaches organized a charity. Jim, his wife Penny, and his 7-year-old son Casey were all there. The outlook for Jessica is very promising. It appears she'll have partial use of her legs, though she may need to wear a brace. Now, what makes the story particularly poignant, Mike and Ed, is that Jimbo Covert may be the most charitable of all the Bears, very active with the March of Dimes and United Way and a lot of other charities in Chicago. And he said something that I thought was very moving. He said, regardless of the outcome with my daughter, I am blessed and Jessica is blessed as well. It's a nice story. Jimbo, if you're out there, our prayers are with you.
You bet. It takes a lot of courage to face something like that. We remember it was going on during the preseason when we did a Bears game, and he was out there playing just as hard as he could, and it must have been very difficult to try to keep your mind on something like football.
Playing through an emotional pain, not a physical pain. Yeah.
He's got the physical right now. Very bad ankle. Was on crutches earlier this week, but he'll be back. 2-time Pro Bowler. 2:49 to go here in the first half. It's been all Chicago up 10-0, and there you see the yardage. Tommy KRAMER has thrown for 50 yards here in the first half. The ground game's been almost non-existent for Minnesota. McMahon wants another deep one. McKinnon makes the catch. Lost it at the 15. It's down, it's complete. Holt and Harris on the coverage, but a 33-yard gain.
Now you'll watch number 39, Carl Lee, on the coverage of this play. He takes his eye off the receiver for just a moment, and McKinnon will cut inside. You'll watch the play. He just hesitated for just a moment, and McKinnon had cut inside and makes the catch. There it is right there on Carl Lee.
Harris got a shoulder in there and shook it loose. Dolman trying to put the pressure on McMahon. McMahon so far 7 out of 11, 120 yards in the first half. Sanders. Studwell chases him down, got him at the 13-yard line, got some help from Isaac Holt, who comes up from the corner to help out on the tackle. We've reached the 155 point in the first half. Chicago 10, Minnesota nothing. That strong safety, Joey Browner, on the sideline, taken out after the last play. He was leveled by a block he never saw, came up limping. I think he's going to be all right.
It's McKinnon and Bosa with a very low block.
That's overkill.
Boy.
Got sandwiched in there and came up limping.
He's okay.
And he's the guy they really need in there. 2nd and 10. Nice fake by McMahon. And he gets out of bounds at the 10-yard line to stop the clock with 1:49 to go. Stafford Mays was the man who was trying to put on the pressure.
By the way, that block we just saw involving McKinnon and Bosa that knocked Browner out of the game, and now he's back in the game, is considered a legal block. This is why, folks, we always talk about the fact that down the road, medical attention for players once they get out of the game, health care, very important, something that we should all consider in the equation when the NFL players went out on strike. And stuff you don't read about in the paper the next day.
Really, the trainers have become so specialized and so good at their job. Before, trainers were guys who just taped you up and let you play. These people are real professionals. 3rd and 7. McMahon dropped it off. Morris never saw it coming in and hit him on the shoulder.
And if he catches the ball, it's 6.
Well, I think he was looking for McMahon to run. I think he might have been looking to block somebody right
You're right. I think you're right.
McMahon, he doesn't find anybody open. He steps up into the pocket. It looks like he might be running and then tries to dump it off. Boy, that would have been a touchdown.
May have cost him 7, and now Butler will try to get them 3. The 27-yard attempt, he's already been good from 23. And Butler kicks his 13th straight field goal for the Chicago Bears.
27-yard field goal by Butler. Bears 13.
Well, Mike Ditka has to be thrilled knowing when he sends Butler on the field. And he beat the Packers with a 52-yarder earlier this year with no time on the clock. You've got to think that he's just thrilled to send Butler out there and knows he's going to make it. Halftime, we've got Chris Berman, Tom Jackson, and Pete Axtell talking about this ball game and everything else that happened in the NFL today. And then Roy and Ed will be here to discuss the Heisman Trophy. Some of the controversy yesterday, a lot like 1971 when Ed Marinaro finished 2nd to Pat Sullivan.
I don't want to talk about it.
Here's Joey Browner. We were talking before about spinal bifida as a charity. This is a man who's been very much involved in that charity. And his mother, Julia, is a wonderful, wonderful person. She not only has 11 children of her own, she adopted 2 handicapped children. This is a special woman who brought up the Browner boys and girls by herself without a man for about half his life. And it's really a remarkable story. I think it's a TV movie myself.
Joey turned out to be a pretty good man.
Yes.
He has some brothers who play.
Yes, Ross and Keith and Gerald, a 300-pound lineman that played in Georgia a few years back. The great Browner family.
Joey had to fight for dinner, I guess. Wasn't that Bud Grant?
No.
We'll find him for you, Eddie. We'll find him.
Gugamos on the bounce from the 5. Vikings could use a big return, and he'll give it to him out to the 31-yard line. Maurice Douglas down on special teams after a 26-yard kickoff return. That drive went 49 yards and only 2:28. For the second time in the game, Butler finished off with a field goal.
And our crack staff, John Wildhack and company down in the booth, have told us that Neil Gugamos is German-Bavarian derivation.
I knew that.
You knew that, right? Gugamos.
The Vikings need to score right here. They need a field goal. They need something. Just to go in at halftime. If they went into halftime only 10 points down.
Something.
KRAMER has struggled in the first half. 1:34 to go. Guns this one complete to Nelson at the 38-yard line. And now they'll go to the hurry-up. Singletary on the coverage. Nelson very good coming out of the backfield. in the pocket that time. He just collapsed around him. Steve McMichael and Perry got there in a hurry, and they'll spend a timeout with 1:09 to go.
Here's the Bears defensive line smothering KRAMER. Perry and McMichael, as you mentioned before.
It's their third sack of the ballgame.
They're coming hard.
Like he ran into his own man there for a moment. Number 68, that's Greg Koch.
Don't forget, Tommy KRAMER was the #1 rated quarterback in the National Football League in 1986. When he is healthy, he is a terrific performer, but you need a little bit more time than that.
I think they have to start to run more rollout type things, particularly in a 2-minute offense. You want to use the sidelines more, having KRAMER move out of the pocket. I think sitting right back there like that, when the defensive line is just putting their ears back and coming, I think they're going to have to do some rollouts.
We've seen McMahon with great success with the rollout tonight, getting away from that pass rush.
Well, he's pretty mobile. He can move pretty well.
First half tonight, KRAMER with only 41 net yards passing. He's thrown for 55, but he's been sacked 3 times for a loss of 14, and he has the 1 interception. A lot of people critical of the Bear defense. Not playing too bad. I think Mike Ditka could take this every minute. 3rd and 11 out of the shotgun.
Look at this.
KRAMER dumps the pass, and it's incomplete. The closest man to it, cornerback VESTEE Jackson, number 24.
And Richard Dent this time. Richard Dent with tremendous pressure on KRAMER. I think this is a hurry. This is what is defined in the NFL as a hurry. But it definitely did its job. Dent just with the big hit at the bottom there. That takes its toll.
He never got a chance to set up.
Greg Coleman, who's had 1 real good kick and 2 low line drives, is back to punt to Dennis McKinnon.
You think they're coming here?
10 men on the line. And Coleman shanked this one. Greg just having a terrible time. A 20-yard kick off the side of his foot, and the crowd doesn't like it one bit.
And the crowd is a factor, but against the Vikings this time. Boy, the kicking game has killed the Vikings. Field goals, punts. Let's take a look at this. Is this roughing Ed?
Let me see here.
Oh, no, there's no way.
Well, actually, he was blocked into him. Studwell blocked him into him.
Fine performance there by Mr. Coleman.
Greg took 102 at Florida A&M. It's drama. Tough night for the veteran, and the Bears, with 57 seconds left and 2 timeouts, have a shot at getting something else on the board. Remember, Butler has tremendous range as a field goal kicker. Vikings come with 4.
Intercepted.
Man too high. Lee picks it up. And Lee is back to midfield, fumbled, but it goes out of bounds. And with 48 seconds to go in the first half, the Vikings get a break.
Good defensive pressure. I think that made McMahon hurry that throw. They have time.
Arnold Lee coming up with the play here before he was beaten by McKinnon to set up the field goal. And there he is, the interception. Ball just overthrown.
Nice block by Browner there. Look at McMahon going in there making the tackle.
Wow, he's tough.
He doesn't care. He's got that linebacker mentality. Probably upset after he threw the interception. The Vikings needed a break to get them going. Let's see if this is it. KRAMER drops it for Nelson. And Nelson brought down as he got to the 48-yard line.
Barry Switzer said that the fastest man on any football team is the quarterback who just threw an interception.
That's right.
Sometimes off the field, I might add, too.
2 timeouts left for Minnesota. Here comes Dent. KRAMER got away.
Get out of bounds.
Got a great block downfield. Leo Lewis, or Anthony Carter, threw a tremendous block downfield. KRAMER getting ready to run out of bounds. Instead, he turned it up for 10 more.
We were just talking about that the other day, how important it is for a wide receiver to block. And this is a perfect example of how a wide receiver can just make a play. Kramer's ready to go out of bounds right here, and he sees the block, and he just turns it right up the sidelines.
You wouldn't think at 5'8" that little Leo Lewis could lay a big block in there.
It's
Carter. It was actually
here.
Carter. Well, he's only about 5'9".
He gets knocked down.
5'10".
He gets knocked down and gets up and throws the block.
Took Mike Richardson out, and with 21 seconds left, the Vikings reaching scoring territory. FENNEY, 30, 25, got out of bounds at the 24-yard line. Something to consider here with 16 seconds left. Yep. Chuck Nelson, the field goal kicker, has missed tonight already once. He's missed 6 out of his last 8. You think Jerry Burns is thinking touchdown or nothing? And that's what Tommy KRAMER has seen in the first half. They have been after him a lot.
That looks like a boxing statistic.
It does. And no 3 knockdown rule tonight.
3 hurries. I love that.
Hurry.
16 seconds left.
They come.
It's an audible.
All out blitz. KRAMER unloads. Gustafson. Oh, boy. To the 2-yard line.
And out of bounds.
And Tommy KRAMER is down. The touchdown towels wave, but now all that joy turns to wonder.
Got the wind knocked out of him.
And if you've never had that happen, you don't know what a desperate feeling it is.
You think you're going to die right there.
Let's see how it happens.
You know what?
Boy, that was a delayed reaction. Did you see that? Looked like he got nailed in the head by Singletary. Wow. Did you see the delay on that?
That is a nerve. He got hit.
He had a nerve problem before in his shoulder in the preseason. Now there's KRAMER on the sideline.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, you're right, Ed. And Wilson had come into the ball game.
And people wonder why KRAMER hasn't played a lot of games. I mean, that's a great move right there. That's a great move. You know, that could have been a touchdown.
Could have been.
Here's Ditka's reaction. Come on, what's going on down there?
Gustafson has caught 2 balls all year, both of them in this ball game. And let's see who will be the quarterback. KRAMER came out, now it's Wilson in there with 9 seconds to go in the half, and KRAMER trying to shake it off and see if there's anything left in that shoulder.
It changes the whole rhythm, though. You have a new quarterback in there in a crucial time, huh?
Well, they have. Do you think they have time to run 2 plays here? They have how many timeouts?
They have 1 timeout left. And, of course, at the 1-yard line, if they throw, no problem. And even if they run, they can stop the clock 1 more time.
Got enough time. Depends upon what play they call, of course.
They need the touchdown. Down 13-0. And they have 3 tight ends in the ballgame. Jordan 83, Hilton 82, and Mike Malarkey 86 in their goal line offense. Rice and FENNEY are the backs. And then throw to Rice. Touchdown, Minnesota. Was a great play call. Wade Wilson comes in, had not warmed up on the sideline. Good play fake, and they get the touchdown.
That shows Jerry Burns' confidence in Wade Wilson.
Nelson for the point after. True on that
one. Terrific play selection here, Ed. No one anywhere near Allen Rice.
Rice with his first touchdown reception of the season. Wade Wilson with his 11th touchdown pass.
for the second consecutive week now in games we've carried 4 touchdowns from guys named Rice.
That's right.
He's not thinking of roller skates, Mr. Ditka, at this point.
6 seconds to go in the half. Alan Rice out of Baylor, a 4-year man.
He played
and the noise is back in the dome.
He played very well for D.J. Dozier and Alfred Anderson did Alan Rice in recent weeks.
I just like what Tommy KRAMER did right there. Coming back like that, a couple of key passes, bring him down the 1-yard line. You know, the guy doesn't quit.
You're right.
He's an all-pro.
Well, do you go back with Tommy if he's healthy, or go back with Wade Wilson second half?
You go back with Tommy KRAMER, working his neck a little bit here, spitting a little bit, wiping his forehead.
You mentioned D.J. Dozier. He is not playing because of an injury, and they were very hopeful that he would, because coming back from the strike, he was in great form.
Well, he is a first-class running back. I watched him in an exhibition game.
That drive of 53 yards only took 42 seconds in the hurry-up offense, and Wade Wilson coming in for the injured Tommy KRAMER. 1 play, 1 yard, 1 pass, 1 touchdown. Except for that last drive, Mike Ditka has had it his way here in the first half with a 13-7 lead. Bears are deep with 6 seconds to go. Will they kick it off deep? Little squib kick. Trying to get the first half over. Nope. And they got it back to the 37-yard line. 1 second to go. And we understand that the shoulder injury to Tommy KRAMER may have been aggravated. And we'll have to wait to see in the second half if he can return to play for the Vikings. And you hate to see a guy like KRAMER get hurt, as Roy had mentioned earlier.
You see it a lot,
28 out of 62 games not being in there.
Wow. He pays the price. He's a tough football player. Boy, I like his style. Go in there. He's got a what-the-hell attitude. You know, get on the field, go.
Watch your language, Roy.
Oh.
1 second left. What do you do here, Coach?
Throw deep.
A typical offensive reaction.
Quick kick.
They give it to Anderson. Anderson gets it up near midfield. And that ends the first half. Our score here at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, Chicago 13, Minnesota 7. We invite you to stay tuned for our halftime show. Let's go to the studio and Chris Berman.
All right, Mike Patrick, thank you very much. And as they say, we now have a ball game. Somebody said that. Chicago leading the Minnesota Vikings 13-7.
Halftime, the Bears lead the Vikings by 6, 13-7. We're talking to Ed Marinaro, who in 1971, a lot of people don't realize, was the runner-up to the Heisman Trophy behind Pat Sullivan. Lost by about 500 points. First of all, yesterday's voting. No, what? It's bothering you.
I don't want to talk about it.
All right, we're still going to talk about it. Okay. Tim Brown wins the Heisman Trophy. Do you think he deserved to win the Heisman Trophy?
Absolutely.
Okay. Did anything bother you about the way the balloting went?
Well, what bothers me is the same thing that bothered me in 1971. I feel that when the people who vote for the Heisman Trophy, they pick the player who they feel has the most pro potential. Therefore, I don't think it is truly an award that goes to the outstanding college football player.
As it turned out, you had the longer pro career than Pat Sullivan. Why didn't Ed Marinaro win the Heisman outright? Was it because there was bias in the balloting?
Well, I feel that because I did play in the Ivy League and it's not recognized as a national powerhouse conference, that my accomplishments were ignored. And I did everything that I could have done as a college football player. I set I don't know how many records, and it just went unnoticed, unrecognized, and I'm mad, even today.
People don't realize this, though. Seriously, before Dorsett, this was the all-time leading rusher in college football. Not honored, by the way, by the College Football Hall of Fame, I might add, Mr. Marinaro. Does that bother you? You've been snubbed.
Well, I think I'm eligible, and I know my name has been on the ballots the past couple of years. No, I'm not in the Hall of Fame yet, and they better do it soon, or else I'm not going to show up.
Really? You don't mean that, do you?
Yeah, I do, Roy.
Okay. Vikings going to come back in the second half?
Didn't I tell you they were going to score right before the half? See, I know what I'm talking about. I might have been away from the game for a while. but I know what I'm talking about.
We'll find out. Bears leading 13-7 here at halftime from the Metrodome. We'll come back with more right after this.